Respected chair and fellow participants, the topic of my paper is the deciphering of Vedic knowledge systems over Middle Ages and beyond. The vernacular languages formed an integral part of the development of the Vedic philosophy and carrying forward of the Sanskritic texts and languages in the days to come. The history of the Sanskrit literatures dates back to about 2500 years. The development of several vernacular languages started around 10th century. Sanskrit is very old language. Religion is only one of the aspects of the language through which the language was spread. The literature on arts and sciences are divided into several groups: alchemy, chemistry, metallurgy, liquor, Ayurveda, medical sciences, cosmetics and aromatics, science of gems, cookery or culinary art, science of robbery, astronomy, mathematics, astrology, prognostication, geomancy, cubomancy, dream, etc., physiognomy and palmistry, geography, agriculture and horticulture, science of warfare, sports and games, dramatology, histrionics, music and dance, art and architecture, mechanical devices, literature, etc. Another important development in the sphere of philosophical, cultural, religious, and literary thoughts during the Middle Ages was through the spread of Vaishnavism. Sri Chaitanya, 1486 to 1533, the godman of Nadia in West Bengal, in his own exposition of the contents of his faith given to the leading intellectuals of the age and to those who were intimate with him, traced the religion to the Vedas, Upanishads, and other Shrutis. The pious poet-philosophers of Vrindavana, Rupa, Sanatana, and Jiva in particular, with their massive scholarship and unbounded faith, the Bengali Vedantin, Madhusudan Saraswati of Advaita Siddhi fame, Valadeva Vidyabhushan, the author of the Vaishnavite commentary, Govinda Bhashya on Vedanta, developed the hints of Sri Chaitanya into a regular system of philosophy supported by a sound metaphysics, a subtle psychology of spiritual devotion based on scientific analysis and classification of spiritual emotions, and a new orientation of poetics by transfiguration of the erotic emotion into the spiritual sentiment. Vaishnavism is one of the most absorbing themes of the history of Bengal. Its history of literature, religion, and music, as well as the social and political history. The Vaishnavism faith of Chaitanya had its deep root laid in the spiritual soil of the country from unknown times. The Madhura of the Vaishnava devotee and of Vaishnava poetics is to be traced to the Upanishadic conception of Madhu, Rasa, and Ananda, all synonyms, wide appellations of the supreme reality. Krishnaism is an appropriate term for Bengal Vaishnavism. Of the four propounders of pre-Chaitanya Vaishnavism, Ramanuj and Madhva do not bring in Radha at any stage of love divine. Both Nimvarka and Vallabha, however, believe in Radha as a subjective concrete in divine love, Krishna being the supreme object of devotion. Bengal Vaishnavism clings to Radha as the last word on love and devotion. She is the pivot on which the faith hinges. Sri Chaitanya is best understood when interpreted in the light of the emotion which is Radha's, Radha Bhav. Bhakti is regarded as the best of the ways and means for the attainment of the highest bliss. According to Sandilya Sutra, it is the highest attachment to God. It is love for and wing of the great indeterminate. It is the most concentrated dedication of the senses in the service of the Lord of the senses. The word bhakti is derived from the root bhaj, which means wing. The Gita revolutionizes the idea of holding out the assurance of God's wing of man in exactly the same style of man's wing of God. The Vaishnavite nomenclature of the tripartite energy is Antaranga, intimate and immutable energy, which is the Lord's own or Swarup Shakti. Bahiranga or Maya Shakti is composed of the insensate world, and Tatastha or Jiva Shakti is above the latter and is essentially pure. So the metaphysical scheme of God, man, and nature is covered by the Vaishnavite conception of the three Shaktis. Chaitanyanism was not only a spiritual movement, but also a mighty social force. Sri Chaitanya's life on earth spread over 47 years, being equally divided between the life of a householder and scholar at Navadvip 1486 to 1510, and that of an ascetic who settled for the most part in Puri from 1510 to 1533, with about 6 years spent in the tour of Deccan, and pilgrimage to various places in North and West India, closely following renunciation. The closing chapters of his life on earth was almost one continuous course of communion with God and of ecstatic trances spent in the company with the select few at the Gambhira cave house in the outskirts of Puri. The Kirtana music, which was a child of Sri Chaitanya, grew from strength to strength in its various forms of Namasankirtan, Rasakirtan, Prabhati Tohol, Nagar Sankirtan, or congregational prayer music, and so on. The inner and more intimate circle of Sri Chaitanya's companions included Advaitacharya, Nityananda, Chandrasekhar Acharya, Srivasa, the husband of his mother's sister, his devoted brothers Pundarik, Vidyanidhi, Godadhar, and three poet-musician brothers Vasudeva, Madhava, and Govinda Ghosha. They all had the highest regard for him, and Sri Chaitanya gave them all a new sense of values. But grim orthodoxy and insensible conservatism, which constituted itself into some sort of spiritual hegemony, formed a strong opposition of the neo-revivalists of Nyaya, Shruti, and Tantra. Vishwambhor Nimai, the redoubtable scholar and dialectician, was born into a new man of love, eschewed the path of conflict and controversy, and switched over to the ascetic order at Katwa in 1510 AD. The two important biographical works in Bengali on Sri Chaitanya's life are Chaitanya Karitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj and Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das. Sri Chaitanya was one serious, sincere, and universally accepted Vaishnava whose philosophy he himself lived. His love for men was as real and profound as his love for Krishna. By this great love, he inspired in people an equally great love for him. Sri Chaitanya is no myth. His achievements constitute history, having gone into the very texture of Bengal's culture and the fine susceptibility of the Bengal's nature. Sri Chaitanya left a legacy of love which solved the problems of life in those days. It is often said that Bengal Vaishnavism tradition of Navadvip was upheld and handed down by Sri Chaitanya and his associates Antarango, and the Vrindavana traditions mainly by devoted and erudite group of 6 Goswamis. But actually such distinction cannot be made. It was a time when the administration of the country shortly changed hands to that of the Mohammedan conquerors. The onslaught made itself felt in the social and religious spheres of life. He rebuilt the celestial region of Mathura Vrindavan and restored it to its lost glory. Geographically and politically separated, Orissa became culturally one with Bengal. Varanasi, Prayag, Mithila, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Deccan came closer to Bengal. The difference of languages did not come in the way of a greater Bengal, whose poetic medium became the beautiful and mellifluous literary Brajabuli, which was a spontaneous literary growth in this vast cultural unified area, which is nowhere else to be found in the history of languages. In the days of political confrontation between Hindu king of Orissa and the Muslim Badshah of Gaura, the vast Vaishnava literature in Bengali, Brajabuli, Oriya, and Sanskrit, the Kirtana music in all its branches, and the philosophical writings of the Goswamis, meant for an all-India spiritual audience, made much headway. The history of Muslim rule in the part of the country made it possible for Chaitanyism to unfold its cultural possibilities. The people who rallied around this wonderful man belonged to all ranks and strata of society, which included the Muslim rulers of the country and the sons of the soil whom they ruled, professing a different religion, the scholar and dialectician, as well as the ignorant masses, the purse-proud aristocrat, as well as the impecunious commoner, the virtuous, as well as the most sinning among men. The medieval times saw the spread of the Vedic philosophy, development of knowledge systems. In the Middle Ages, due to the political reasons, the outside flow of knowledge from India got interrupted due to disruption of oceanic travel, but otherwise the flow had been quite continuous over ages. But at the same time, the coming of Muslim rulers led to a cross-cultural interaction. In the midst of all this, in the 15th to 16th centuries, there was a wave of Vaishnavism that led to a kind of renaissance. Rise of Chaitanya greatly influenced the way of life in Bengal in the days to come and greatly impacted the Hindu religion. But all these developments took place in the periphery of Vaishnavism. Thus, the Middle Age might be seen as a missed opportunity in some sense, but it also gave shape to the Vedantic and Upanishadic traditions that impacted the Hindu way of life in the days to come. Thank you very much.